Salam, all that stuff. What? Oh, yeah. Shabbat Shalom, Happy Sabbath, all that good stuff. Peace and blessings. Appreciate anybody taking the time out to check any of the videos out. I definitely appreciate the support. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to get that out of the way now. Like, share, subscribe. It really does help. Comment too. I definitely try to interact with the comments as much as I can. And well, if you are on Instagram, I'm not gonna be able to interact with them like that, but you can always send whatever you need to send to the inbox or whatever. And I'm working on integrating all that into one. But for now, I'm doing the best I can. So y'all gotta bear with me. So today's lesson is going to be on the Arabian Empire. The Arabian Empire. A lot of people are wondering what's going on. What does that mean? Why are we even talking about this? Well, we've been doing a series on the end time events, last days, and things like that. I really don't want to call it a series because it's not necessarily any type of order. But that's more so been the topic of discussion. So whenever we're talking about the Arabian Empire, an empire has to be ran by someone. And in this particular case, it's a lot of different people that's involved. And you'll be able to see today why the world hates the so-called Israelite, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American. I say so-called because there's so many things that we are called. So we know, truthfully speaking, biblically speaking, spiritually speaking, we are the Israelites. However, there is an answer to the lifelong question of why we're treated the way we're treated. And the answer starts in the lesson I did on who are the Israelites when we're talking about Deuteronomy 28 and the curses and other things and like that. But today, it'll be a little more technical. And when we talked about the mark of the beast. We also talked about, we talked about the mark of the beast. We talked about the Antichrist, which it looks to me that the Antichrist comes out of the Arabian Empire, which is why we're talking about that today. From what we've shown which has been all scriptures, but of course we're gonna have some more of that. So we'll get it started in Genesis 16 and 8. Genesis 16 and 8. I got a lot, but I'm gonna see what I can do with this. Also, remember going into this lesson while we're giving everybody time to get to Genesis 16 and 8. Going into this lesson, remember the last thing we did when we talked about the mark of the beast, we said that 666 is not this crazy number that means Satan and everybody is, making movies out of it and it's horror. It actually came down to showing you ties with Solomon, who was actually tied with the Arabian Empire under Sheba and the other Arabian kings. And she was, I think, the queen of South Arabia, according to what we've seen. But also, 666 in Arabic means in the name of Allah, and the way that they write it on paper versus the way that you write it in the Greek, the number 666 actually was the same symbols, which was crazy because people always ask about the Bible this, Bible that, but they don't understand how it ties together. See, the Bible proves itself, but you got to be deep enough to see it. This is not something that man just came up with because it's actually playing out today. So I'm going to show that one more time as we get into the Genesis 16. So here first we're going to have in the name of Allah in Arabic. So you got to tell me if it's clear. All right. Y'all see that? It's pretty clear, right? That's how you write it in Arabic. That's the symbols, and it looks like the two swords, which we know that Esau and the Arabian Empire, that's what they deal with. They deal with the sword still to this day. Now we're going to look at how to write the number 666 in Greek, and there's not much of a difference. Clear? All right. So we know now that the New Testament, which was written in Greek. And when you get that 666, and then you understand that the way the Arabic language deals with it comes out to be in the name of Allah, and it just so happens that's who's taking over today, we got to go and look at where are they ruling from, because Satan said he had a seat when he dealt with the Antichrist, and the Antichrist, those people came back to be who? None other than the Arabians. So I know I'm still doing my recap, but I'm just trying to make sure before we go into this that everything is clear. So also, we have, think about this, Cain and Abel, right? So when you're talking about Cain and Abel, those were brothers, right? And Cain killed Abel, right? Because he was jealous of what his brother got that he didn't get, right? That's basically what it comes down to. We know the reason on why he got it. We're not focused on the reason, but we see based on what it came down to, he was jealous of his brother and went against him, right? Because his brother got a blessing and he didn't, or a bigger blessing in some other cases in which we'll see. Everything good on that? Okay, so next then you had Noah. He had 3 sons, right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. That's what happened when you said it now. Should have just said Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Same thing. Anyway, those are 3 sons, right? But the chosen lineage came through who? Shem, right? So what if the other 2 brothers got upset about that and decide we want to turn on the Shemites? And then there's certain Shemites or people that came from Shem that did not get that blessing either down the road. And so what if all these people was teaming up against the chosen? Let's get into it. Genesis 16 and 8. Genesis 16 and 8. All right. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard thy affliction. So we see Ishmael was the firstborn, right? And because the Lord heard her affliction, he said, you're going to call that name Ishmael. But let's read just a little bit more so we can see what type of man Ishmael was going to be. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Wait a minute, all his brethren? This is Abraham's son, right? He ain't had no brothers at this time, did he? So who are Abraham's other sons? Because whoever his other sons are, Ishmael is going to be a wild man that's going to be dwelling with them. So even though it said his hand will be against everybody, he's still going to have somebody that's going to have his back or dwelling with them and getting along with them, because they're going to all be able to dwell together. Maybe they won't all get along. Maybe this is why you got Sunnis and Shiite Muslims. I don't know. We're not going to go that far, not just yet. So a wild man, right? And Abraham's will have other children. We see that. Let's get Genesis 21 and 9. We might have to roll this lesson just a little quicker than the norm. I'm going to see. Genesis 21 and 9. I might get this to you. This thing is elite. Ain't know what they call it. I don't know. What's wrong? Genesis 21 and 9.
I'm about to. They started talking. He ain't started reading yet.
Yeah, we did it. Come on, relax. You done had some too. Genesis 21 and 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. So now we see Ishmael is not going to be heir with Isaac. So whenever it's time for Abraham to give out his blessings, is Ishmael going to get what Isaac is going to get? Because he's cast out. Just like Cain got mad, and what happened? He was cast out. If you don't remember that, remember he got his mark. He got his mark. And then he had to do what? Go to the land of Nod, right? But when we look the land of Nod up, that was east. We're going to find out that Abraham's children dwell in the east too. It's the same spirit, the same people. We're going to keep going though. So now we got Abraham's son. He had two sons at this point that we can read. I don't know. Isaac chosen. Ishmael upset. He's mad. He's jealous, and he's cast out. So, but they both started growing up under Abraham for a few years. This is why when you get into Islam, there's a lot of similarities where they try to make it seem like, well, you know, we are both Abrahamic faiths or beliefs. We both came up under Abraham. They feel like they're right. We feel like we're right. But we know according to the Bible and according to their book, which I ain't going to do that right now, but another time, according to the Bible and their book, that prophecy would come through Isaac and not Ishmael, because Isaac was the chosen. So Ishmael done created this whole other religion and agenda. We're going to keep going though. Genesis 25:1. We got to get some more. Genesis 25:1. All right. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. Now we have a different wife. This ain't Sarah, right? Because I'm not trying to make something out of nothing, but so far, Sarah only had how many children? And how many children got the promise? How many children turned out to be righteous? So far from what we can read. So, hey, it's a reason that Sarah was called the virtuous woman, and his other wives were not called that. Not that I can remember. But we're going to continue. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian. Wait, Midian, ain't that one of the kings? Isn't that one of the beasts? It was, what was the first beast? The Babylon, right? What was the second one? Medo-Persian. Well, Medo was short for Midian, ain't it? So the Midianites came out of who? Abraham, right? So nobody's thinking about this. All these other sons that Abraham had, did they get the promise? No. So now you see why they all take turns ruling Israel, because they were upset. Zimran, Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begot Sheba. So a lot of people want to say, well, you know, Sheba, she was African, she was just the queen of Sheba. Sheba came out of Jokshan. Jokshan came out of who? Abraham, which is where the chosen seed come from. It just didn't go through Jokshan. It went through Isaac. But these are still people that are of that same culture, that same land. This has nothing to do with them being Hamites, because this is not a Hamite lineage we're reading. This is the lineage of Abraham, right? So these people were very much in tune with the Bible, or with, well, I won't say the Bible because it wasn't called that at that time. They were very much in tune with the Hebraic way of life, or the Israelite. I don't want to say Israelite because they weren't Israelites at that time, obviously. But it was still the same children of God lineage. It just went from Abraham and skipped all those sons and went to Isaac, but they still was raised under righteous Abraham. Remember, everybody in Abraham had to get circumcised. They had to follow all statutes and commandments. Abraham could not eat abomination, right? But what did the Muslims do? We don't eat pork. Then they turn around and we do eat shrimp. You know why? Because they strayed away. We didn't stray away until the Most High said, okay, you know what? I'm going to root y'all out the land because y'all actually know better and are still doing wrong. Let's continue, though. Let's continue. Let me see. All right, first I need the first 6. All right, so, and the sons of Midian, Ephah and Epher and Henoch and Abida and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Excuse me, that's a lot of kids. I think it was 10 total, but I'm not going to count. And Abraham gave all that he had unto who? Isaac. So imagine it's 10 kids. I'm almost there. Imagine it's 10 kids. And these are sons that all feel like we should get this, we should get that. And he says, listen, I'm giving my firstborn blessing and all that I have to one person, and that's going to be to Isaac. Everybody's going to be pissed off. Everybody's going to be feeling some kind of way, right? So this is what actually got everybody going against old Israel, because first they was going against Isaac. But who is Isaac's son? Jacob. But what was Jacob's name changed to? Israel. So the Israelites are none other than Jacobites. It's the same thing. Isaacites, however you want to call it. It goes all down the lineage. You just have to follow the correct lineage. We all good? And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son. So he separated them while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. So he sent them where? To the east country. Why we call it the Middle East now? Because that's where it started. We was actually kind of in the Middle East and Western East. He sent them to the Eastern East, like Saudi, like East Saudi Arabia. He sent them out there. So the Arabians definitely include more than just Esau, or that empire includes more than Esau and Ishmael, because we just showed you. Now I know Cain's lineage is null and void. It didn't make it over the flood. However, I just showed the same thing happened. He sent them far as east you can go, to the end of the world, basically. You go way over there, and you separate from my righteous people. This is why Abraham gave gifts. He gave some little gifts to his kids, but he told them, look, y'all go way east and be separate from Isaac. Why? Abraham's smart enough to know y'all be to try to kill him, because I'm giving him everything that God has instructed me to give him. So, we'll continue. Let's drop down to verse 23. Because now Isaac, we got to get more into Isaac now, because we know that's where the righteous seed come from. So we're going to drop down to whatever I just said, 23. There we go. All right, so 23. And the Lord said unto her, so this is the Lord talking to Rebecca, I believe. I got to go up now. Yeah. I almost want to get 19 now. But anyway, we see we're getting ready to get into Jacob and Esau. So, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Now, why he's saying they got to be separated? Didn't he just separate the rest of his sons? But how did he separate them? All of y'all go east, and I'm going to keep Isaac here, because there's a righteous lineage that has to go through Isaac, and I know y'all eventually going to try to kill him. So when Isaac have 2 children, it's going to become 2 nations. One nation is going to continue that righteous seed. You stay right here with me. The next nation has to be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now, a lot of people get confused with this right here, but it said which one? It said it was one would be stronger, right? Then it says the elder, so the oldest one would serve the younger, right? Who came out first? Esau. So Esau was meant to serve Israel. Well, Jacob, say Jacob and Esau. Jacob name was changed to Israel. That's why sometimes you might hear Jacob, you might hear Israel. Same thing. So because he came out and was meant to serve, how do you think he feel about that? He the firstborn. And he's already predestined to serve his little brother. Some people would be okay with that, and a lot of people won't. But then through prophecy, this is prophecy, it was fulfilled whenever he sold his birthright, right? So Everybody say Jacob tricked them, but this was only the will of the Most High, which was already predetermined. So I think I got everything. Oh, no. Verse 25 confuses people because for some reason, when it comes to colors, we get confused and then we get out of control when it comes to what the Bible says. So some people look at this and they say that Esau is the white man or the Caucasian or whatever you want to call it. That could be further from the truth. Not at all. This red is not literally talking about the color red because nobody's walking around here bloody red. At least not that I've seen. It didn't say he be red when he's in the sun and all this. It just says red because that word just means ruddy. If you go and look up what the original word was, it is ruddy. That's what it says. It's in the Hebrew is H132 and it says reddish, ruddy. David was described the same way. So there's no way David could be red, but he's an Israelite, which is a black man. And this guy could be red, but he's a white guy. So we're going to keep it in what the context of the scriptures are telling us. These are Israelites, or this is the first Israelite, obviously. I can't even call him Israelite because this is Israel, Jacob. But y'all get what I'm saying. This is the lineage of them. So on another lesson, I'll definitely go into fully 100% without a doubt proving Esau is definitely not the white man. If you've been keeping up with all the stuff for the Arabian Empire, you should be able to see that. Let's continue though. Let's go to Genesis 27 and 36. We're building a case, and the case we're building is so far all the people that operate under this Arabian umbrella today have a big reason to be upset with us, the Israelites. This is why we're at the bottom. It has nothing to do with the so-called Caucasian or white man and all that. We're going to see how all that happened too. Genesis 27 and 36. Yeah. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me. So this Esau complaining because he said his rightfully name was Jacob because Jacob was like the name Jacob means like a trickster. So he was like, basically, he tricked me and took my spot. So it says, for he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he taketh away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? So he's talking to his father, Isaac, and he's talking like, look, Jacob done got everything that I'm supposed to have. He didn't know he was never supposed to have it because he was not chosen to continue the righteous lineage. This is why it was born in a different manner and it carried out the way that it did. And then you're going to see eventually the separation. This is why he went to Mount Seir. We'll cover that when we go into Esau a little more. So Mount Seir versus Mount Sinai or Jerusalem. See what I mean? Separate. So first of all, let's cover this lie that he just said. He said he took away my birthright. Didn't he say it? Can you imagine if you want something from somebody, say somebody got a car you want, and you say, you know what? All right, I'll buy it. I'll buy it for whatever. You give them $5,000, you get the car. And then he telling everybody, yeah, man, he took my car from me, he stole it. You're like, what? That ain't what happened. You was in a bind, so you needed the money and you sold me the car. Esau got in a bind. When you read the story, he said basically he was about to faint and he sold his birthright for some food. So that was a lie that he told. We're going to continue though. We're going to continue through 41. It says, and Isaac, his father, answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord. Remember, the elder shall serve the younger, right? Now he's telling him, I made him your master, and all his brethren have I given to him for service, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? Basically, I done gave him everything. What you want? And Esau said to his father, has thou but one blessing, my father? So you only got one blessing to give? So he says, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So he lifted up his voice and cried out. Everybody think that's, you're going to see who do that. Because this is something, all these things, these are traits and characteristics of Esau. Keep it in mind. So then it says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So now he's prophesying, saying eventually you're going to break away from having to serve him. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. This is why Esau still to this day is all about coming after us. He just uses other elements or other tools to get to us so that you won't even know that it's him. Why? Because that is deception. What did they say their God was? The master deceiver. So they got you looking at a whole nother nation of people because of what they did in slavery, but they're making sure you're not taught about the Islamic slave trade. They're making sure you're not taught about you're not told about slavery from the first beast, Babylon, which is under that same empire, to the second beast, Medo-Persian, which we just seen. The Medes and the Persians, basically, those are the same people out of the same empire, all the way to the Grecian Empire, which, if you're looking, I don't want to jump ahead. So let's continue. I gotta stop myself sometimes. We're gonna stay in this chapter. Let's go back to 27 though. Genesis 27 and verse 27. All right. And it came near. So here's how the trickery happened. Talking about Jacob and Isaac. And so Jacob, so we're reading about it. And he came near and kissed him and smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. If you paid attention to what Esau got blessed with at the end, when he finally gave Esau something that sounds the same, right? But did they get it in the same place? Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. We know where Israel was dwelling at. However, if you don't remember that, just go to when they was born and said the two nations would be separated from thy bowels. So from the beginning, they were made separate. It says, therefore, 29. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty corn and wine. So they got the same blessing. That's very key to pay attention to in this lesson and in other lessons. Because if we got the same thing and then somebody lose theirs, then what happens? The person that lost theirs is going to try to come and steal what the other person had. Especially if the one that lost his first is the one that says, well, you know what? I hate my brother, and I swear that I'm going to kill him. But we don't pay attention to that. Let's continue. Genesis 36 and 1. Okay, 29, my fault. Genesis 27 and 29. All right, it says, let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Now, why is it saying it like, now this, because this is about Jacob, right? But it was just Jacob and Esau. So what is he talking about, your mother's sons? It's not just Esau. It's Esau and the rest of his children. They were all supposed to be serving Jacob, also known as Israel. Then it says, cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So at this point in time, this is why, Isaac found this out. Esau found this out and he got upset. But eventually he got blessed with almost the same thing. So now they got to be separate, right? And they both got some substance. I don't think at this point Jacob had gotten his fully yet, but Esau had his substance. So Genesis 36 and 1, and we got to get into the generations of Esau. A lot of people don't understand the importance when the Bible says the generations of. because it's letting you know whose lineage is who, and it's for a reason, because you need to know this today. So, for example, like the word generations, when you break generations down, what do you get? You get gene rations. What are genes? Genes are part of your DNA that make you who you are, right? So what does it mean for what are rations or to ration? That's like how you give something out, right? So generations is nothing but your genes being rationed out. And you need to know who has whose genes and who belongs to who, because in today's time, see, us to deal with the Bible, we know we can go to Genesis 10 and we can see certain people. But in today's time, when people read the Bible, they don't even really deal with the Old Testament. So they have no clue of what's going on in the New Testament. So they take whatever somebody's giving them. Let's get generations. Let's get Genesis 36 and 1. All right. We're throwing no leaves out my door. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. So now when you see Esau, you know that Esau and Edom, the same thing. So in the future, when you see Christ coming back to deal with Edom, also known as Esau, look where he's coming back to do it. He's not coming back to America. That's all I can give you right now. Esau took his wives of the daughter of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebahoth. You gotta take a break when you read names like that. Now listen, all these different people are who Esau mixed with. Y'all see this? Esau mixing with everybody, but everybody he's mixing with are people that's over there in the Middle East, or the edge of Africa. So who it says the daughters of Canaan, right? Well, who was Canaan? Y'all remember who Canaan was? That's important today, especially when you're talking about Africa, because everybody talks about Africa all the time. Do y'all remember who Canaan was? Somebody's about to say something.
It was the son of Ham.
All right, correct. So, if Canaan came out of Ham, and Ham was the basically the father of the Hamites, which is over there in Africa. A lot of your so-called Africans are in league with who? Esau, right? Because Esau married the daughter of Canaan. So Canaan lineage is now intertwined with Esau's lineage, and they are cool. So now you got to look at Africa and say, so a lot of them that came out of Ham and Canaan are actually in ties or have ties with Esau. Well, why is this important? What is the biggest religion where Esau is located, which is the Middle East? Islam. What is the biggest religion where Canaan is located? Or the Hamites, which is Africa. What's the biggest religion there? Islam. It's starting to make sense. So when you look up all the rest of these people, the Hittites, the Hivites, I don't even think the Hittites, I think the Hittites are a part of the people that God said that we were not even supposed to mix with, but instead Israel was supposed to eliminate them off the face of the earth. I think the Hittites were a part of that. And if they were, that means that's a whole nother reason to go into for why he said do it. But these people, God said, get rid of them. Instead, we let them live, and now they are with the enemy. Esau is the enemy because he said, I swear to kill them. So Esau is still alive today, and they were never disconnected from their heritage like we were. They know this stuff, right? We don't. They know this stuff. What do you think Esau's agenda is for the so-called Israelites? To kill them, right? Are they trying to kill off the Jewish? They right there. They could have been done that. Don't fall for what the TV narratives are. Africa and the Middle East are all basically wrapped up in one umbrella, which is the Arabian Empire, also known as Esau and Ishmael, basically, because that's where those are basically like the leaders. Don't get me wrong. You got 10 sons of Keturah, and you got the Hittite, you got Canaan. You see it says, and Adad bare to Esau, Eliphaz, all these different people, and Aholibamah bare Jeush and Jalam and Korah. These are the sons of Esau. That's just Esau. You got all these people that are together. We're going to continue though. I'm going to pick it up in verse 6. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. So I want y'all to make sure that y'all see what's going on. Israel went and mixed with a few different people, got cool with them, got ties with them, because back then you couldn't just have somebody's daughter to be your wife and they don't like you. No, y'all actually had to come together and bond. So they were actually formulating this empire way back then. And he said he took his sons, which means he had children with the women of, or with the daughters of all these other people that he got cool with, and he took his family, and it said he went far from the face of his brother Jacob, and he had his substance. So a lot of people would tell you, Esau's a white man, he's running the world today. Look at all this great substance he has, though. We see in verse 6, I'm going to read it one more time. Esau had his substance here. It says, and Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance, which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother. Y'all see that, right? His brother Jacob. So he already got his reward. But let's continue to read and see it. Verse 7. For their riches were more than they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. So he went to Mount Seir because he had so much substance that he couldn't even dwell with his brother where he was at. So if you want to continue to read more about the generations of Esau and find out who these people are and where they're located, you can continue at verse 9. But due to time constraints, we're going to continue to move. Deuteronomy 23 and 3. Deuteronomy 23 and 3. And this is just a few of the people that, like, just a few of the people that he done came and got a league with. I hate when I do this. I got 3 of them, but I really want 2. So y'all gonna see 3 on the screen, but start at verse 2. Because this right here is the kind of stuff that makes people angry. And you gotta understand they're angry with God and God's children. It says, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Do your research on bastard on your own time. Then it says, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way, when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. Now, look at the people of Mesopotamia. That'll lead you to even more people on your own time. But I want y'all to see that when you got Ammonite and Moabites, I think the Moabites is where the children of Lot come from, I believe. So whenever you're looking at these people are mad because they can't even enter into the congregation of the Lord. Imagine having your own God and finding out your God is fake. Their God is real. And you say, well, I'm going to convert. And they say, you convert, but you go stay on the outside. You can't come into the congregation. And you realize everybody in the congregation is getting a bigger blessing, and they're getting a lot of things that you don't get. The most that you can get out of all of that is eternal life, but people don't want that. They want their stuff now. So they are upset. They want to know why them and not me. So you got to keep your mind and your eye on the Ammonite and the Moabite. It's going to all make sense soon. Let's continue though. Let's get Nehemiah 13:1. Nehemiah chapter 13, and we're going to start at the top. It says, on that day, they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people. And therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever. Y'all see that, right? So earlier it said 10th generation, but it said 10th generation, then it said forever, right? Now you see where it's saying, it didn't say 10th generation here, it just said forever. They can never come into the congregation of God. Why? Y'all remember why? Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and water while they was on their journey. Y'all see that? Now question, why didn't they do it? But that's different. Verse 2, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. There goes that word mixed multitude again. Now, when we're talking about a mixed multitude, what was a mixed multitude? Y'all remember that? Let's look at it. Yep. So it didn't say Esau. It didn't say Ishmael. It said mixed multitude, and then it said Arab or Arab. When you look up that word, mixed multitude, 86154, it says exactly what we're saying. Arab, Arab. Then it says also a mixture, because that covers Esau too, because he mixed with all of them. Then it says Arabian, letting you know where they are from or their headquarters. Then it says mingled people, mixed multitude. So the mixed multitude is not Esau and Ishmael. It was actually a lot of these other people, but eventually they broke off. Remember, when we came out is when we met Esau, right? Because we met Esau, and then remember Jacob he split his band in two, one to the left, one to the right. That was when we came out already. So we gotta continue to read and study so we can know who these people are and what's going on, which hopefully y'all can see right now. The Ammonite, because it just told you the Ammonite and the Moabite, they had to separate from them, and it called them or referred to them as a mixed multitude. So this mixed multitude is represented an empire. But the fourth beast was told to be what? A combination of all those people. 7 heads, 10 horns, 10 different kings. And then whenever you go into that, that might be what I do next, Revelation 17 breakdown, so we can see. But when you're looking at this, I can't understand why we can't see this Arabian Empire broken down. Is telling you Ammonite, Moabite, mixed multitude, Arab, also a part of mixed multitude. Is telling you who mixed with who. Well, within the mixed multitude, Esau, also known as Edom, mixed with Canaan's daughters and this person's daughters and that person's daughters. And they also are in league with Ishmael and the other sons that Abraham had with Keturah, which I think were 10. So we're going to keep moving. I know it's a lot. Let's get 1 Samuel 14 and 46. 1 Samuel 14 and 46. Know what I said? All right, 46. All right, so it says, then Saul, he was wicked. Then Saul went up from following the Philistines, and is it Philistines or Philistine? Philistines. I don't know why that threw me off for a second. I wish we could cut that. Then Saul went up from following the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul took the kingdom over Israel and fought against all his enemies on every side. So it was a lot of enemies on every side of Israel, right? When you read about the end, when you read about the y'all heard about the valley of the valley of Jehoshaphat and Megiddo. That's where the last battle is going to be taking place. And it said the Israelites were going to be there, and they were going to be surrounded with a lot of their enemies. Right here it says Saul took over, right? Fought against enemies on every side. Now let's see who some of these enemies are. Against Moab, we just read that, right? And against the children of Ammon, that's the Ammonites, we read that. And also it says, and against Edom. So that's Esau as well, right? And against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines. I thought the Philistines was Africans, I'm not sure. And it says, and whithersoever he turned himself, he vexed him. So then it says that, and he gathered in hosts and smote the Amalekites. So you had Amalek, and delivered Israel out of the hands of them that spoiled them. All these are enemies. Nobody's talking to you today because these wannabe teachers that call themselves Israelites and get on YouTube and they are poisoning your mind against the Bible because they only teaching you that Esau the white man is your enemy when he's actually not even. Esau is not the white man, and we have several enemies we just read. For it to say all his enemies, we know is more than one. Wait till we get to Psalms 83. We're going to see some more enemies. But let's continue. It says, let me see. Yeah, okay, I got all that. Exodus 3 and 8. Exodus 3 and 8. Let's look at some more of these enemies. Exodus 3 and 8. All right. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land, and unto a land formed with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites. Who place was this? And the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. So this land used to belong to them. Is that what I just said? Bring them out of the land into a good land formed with milk and honey, and to the place of the Canaanites and all these people which is named. So if he gave us somebody else's land, how y'all think they feel about that? Y'all think that they like that? I wouldn't. If we had our own land and God said, all right, you gotta go. I'm gonna put my people, my favorite there. Now y'all see why the world hates the Israelites? Because we don't even know who Jebusites are, most of us anyway. Hivites are, Perizzites, Amorites, Hittites, Canaanites. We got at least six right here. Excuse me. Edomites, Ishmaelites, Moabites, Ammonites, because Ammonites and Amorites, that sound like two different ones, right? So we got so many haters. They can't stand us, and they cannot stand our God. And all these people are coming together under one umbrella. This is why now they're focusing on uniting under one, right? One world order. A lot of people are looking at it and they can't understand it because they see China and they see Russia, and they're looking at it like, nah, I don't see what you're saying. I see China and Russia, but China and Russia are places that are heavily populated, so they need a lot of resources. Well, who got the resources? The people that we were reading about. So China and Russia, not only do they have people there that represent the same umbrella, they also have a lot of people, so they're going to have to protect these people and say, look, whatever it is that they got, if we need it, we got to fight for them so that we can continue to get what we want. Because if we go try to take it from them, somebody else is going to say, hey, they coming in and take the oil. They take it. We can't get none. So it turns into one big fight. So everybody says, let's all come together against these one people. Ain't it crazy how the world can work together as long as it's against the so-called black man, also known as the Israelite? Let's continue. So let's get Exodus 17 and 8. I don't think people think about that. Everybody else can work together. And I do mean everybody. Exodus 17:8. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So you for sure got Amalek as somebody who is against us, right? That's Exodus 17:8. So you can add them to the pot. And they attacked us, obviously, because it says, then came Amalek and fought with Israel. So they came and fought with us. So when people are attacking, which that lets you know it's not just us going and just always attacking people and taking people's land, because I've been seeing people say that too. These people came and attacked us as well, and they didn't want to serve our God. 1 Samuel 15:1. So let's see what happened when they attacked us. 1 Samuel 15:1. Yeah. It says, Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way. Then he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. Kill everything. Now you see why these people are upset? Because look at what Saul went and did to them a long time ago. Even though this was just punishment for what they did, everybody is upset. 1 Chronicles 5:10. 1 Chronicles 5:10. Do y'all see what's going on here? Seem like everybody seem like they against the Israelites, right? It's like that today. Go somewhere and say you're an Israelite. People look at you funny. Oh, you one of them. Everything the Israelites be doing, you can go somewhere else and find other people doing. But it's just a problem because people hate Israel. 1 Chronicles 5:10. And in the days of Saul, they made war with the Hagarites. Y'all see that? Add them to the pot. They made war with the Hagarites who fell by their hand. And they dwelt in their tents throughout all the east land of Gilead. Seems like they love this east stuff. Let's drop down to verse 19. Verse 19. And they made war with the Hagarites with Jetur and Nephish and Nodab. Now, who are these people? When you look up Jetur and Nephish, it says they are sons of Ishmael. Now it makes sense to go read the lineage and study, because guess what? We just learned something. These Ishmaelites hate us because we said the Hagarites attacked us, right? So we might attack them at this point, but I'm just saying, it says that they made war with the Hagarites, right? But it also says with Jetur and Nephish. So we were at war with Jetur and Nephish, or somebody will read right past that and say, okay, well, I don't know who that is. It don't matter. It does matter. These are the Ishmaelites. This shows you they've always been against us. We've always been at war with them. And they are of the Arabian Empire, Islamic descent today. Yes, it matters. Oh, why did he say Arabian Empire? When you look up that word, Nodab, because that was the last person that we read, right? Hagarites with Jetur, Nephish, and Nodab. Nodab, when you look it up, it says an Arab tribe. So all these people, they hate us, but we stay in their tobacco stations and smoke shops, and we love them, and they so cool because they are doing nothing but being cool and moving in and being ready for the attack. Because this is what they do. We just read how they laid in wait and then attacked us, right? And they're doing it again, and we watch them do it, and we help them do it. Let's continue, though. Let's continue. Let's get Psalm 79:1. Psalms chapter 79 and verse 1. All right. A psalm of Asaph. It says, O God, the heathen are come into thy inheritance. Thy holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps. So they let, you see what he's saying is going on, right? They done came in to the holy, right, and defiled. Then it says, the dead bodies of thy servants have they given to be meat unto the fowls of the heaven, the flesh of thy saints unto the beasts of the earth. So basically he's saying, look, they came in and they killing us, right? Their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. We are become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn, a derision to them that are round about us. Keep that in mind, because it's always the people that surround Israel that decide to come in for the attack. And we see that happening, right? Let's get a little bit more though. Let's get Joel 3:1. Now, Joel is going to tell us some stuff that other people don't want to tell y'all. So let's keep it. Let's keep our ears open for Joel. First, I got to find Joel. Sometimes when you say stuff and you can't find it, you got to keep talking till you find it. So we're looking for Joel 3:1. There we go. We're going to start at the top. For behold, in the days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Before we continue to read, understanding got to come in. Because if you don't understand what's going on, you'll be further down and be lost. So what does it mean when it says, I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem? Well, right now we are in captivity, but people don't understand that we're in captivity still until he come back. We're good? So it says, I shall bring again. So it's not saying I'm going to give you captivity again. When you look up, bring again captivity, he's saying, I'm going to turn away their captivity. So this hasn't happened yet. He says, in the days, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again or turn away the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So whenever he gathered the Israelites, who are his heritage, he's gathering them all to a land. And then he says he's going to plead there, right? He's going to plead with them there for my people, right? But at that time, he's turning away their captivity. So how could the Jewish, the people that wish they were Jews, be over there and say that they are the people? Because they all saying they're what? The tribe of what? Judah, right? If they Jews, he said he's going to gather all of us, right? You see it? Let's read it again. I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among all the nations and parted my land. So it's not just Judah that was scattered, all the nations were scattered. So he's going to be gathering all the nations as well, as far as Israel and the nations that are against him. So why is it only one? If this is fulfilled because the people that wish they were Jews, the Jewish, are the true people, then where the other 11 tribes at? Let's continue to read. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. So he's talking about some stuff here, and we got to make sure we understand. So when he says roundabout, I'm pretty sure we understand that. And then he says that excuse me, the people cast lots for my people, sold a boy for a heart and all that. But then he said, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and the coast of Palestine? Pay attention, because we're going to see that again in Psalms 83. And Psalms 83 are all the people that were against us. But when you look up some of these names, it says the son of Sidon, the name of the son of Canaan. But we know why that would happen, because also a son of Canaan gave his daughter to be with who? Esau, right? Then it says all the coast of Palestine. So we're talking about that area. Why we don't never read nothing about America? We don't never read nothing about anything over here, it seems like it. So we're going to continue. I'm picking it up at verse 5. Now, this is key. This is key. What's wrong? Well, that's fine. I don't know. It might be only a certain amount of time. I ain't worried about it. You good. Joel 3, I'm going to pick it up at 5. It says, because ye have taken my silver and my gold. So whoever this is, it says, O Tyre, Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine, right? Then it tells you what they did. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold and carried it into your temples, my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that they might remove them far from their border. So before we go any further, let's do something. Let's get Daniel 5:1. And then I'll come back and finish this. I'm going to get it now. Daniel 5:1. Because we just read that these people, whoever these people are, they stole the stuff out of the temple. So whoever Zidon, Tyre, and the coast of Palestine are, we can find out who they are just by reading what the Bible said that they did. So Daniel 5:1. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem. Hey, we just read that, right? But that was Belshazzar we're reading about, but his father Nebuchadnezzar in chapter 1 of Daniel did this. He went in and took the stuff out, right? Then let's read what he did in verse 3. It says, well, let me finish this verse. It says, which was in Jerusalem, that the king, his princes, his wives, his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which were at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, his concubines drank in them. In verse 4, I know I don't have it up here. I just want to read this. Verse 4 says, they drank wine and praised the gods of gold and silver and brass, of iron, wood, and stone. So they came and took our stuff out of our house, right? The house of the Lord, rather. And they worship other gods with this stuff while they use these utensils. So we know that it said Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar did this. That was Babylon, the first beast. But we know through the scriptures, these people are part of the Arabian Empire. So let's go back to Joel 3. So we're going to go back to that Joel 3, and I'm going to pick it up at verse 4. So we know who we're talking about. It says, yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your head. So we know we're talking about the Arabian Empire once again, because we see Tyre, Zidon, coast of Palestine, who they are. That's clear. Let's continue. Verse 5. Because you have taken my silver and my gold and carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. So we see that fulfilled and we see what's going on. Let's continue now that we know who we're talking about. The Arabian Empire. So let's see what else they did. It says the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem. So what is that? Judah and Jerusalem, northern kingdom, southern kingdom, that encompasses the Israelites, 12 tribes. It says, have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. So the reason that we was removed far from our border and taken way here and all over the place was because Tyre, Zidon, and the coast of Palestine, also known as a part of the Arabian Empire, sold us to the Grecians. But they say Africans were selling Africans because they want to teach you what they want to teach you. The Bible prophesied it would happen. It told you when it happened, and also told you early on in Deuteronomy 28 that it was going to happen. So now, when you look up that word, Grecians, it says a Javanite or a descendant of Javan, right? Y'all see? If you just take the time and look at stuff. Now, this whole time where you at, I'm just going to read something real quick. I'm going just to show you why it's important to know your genealogy, because this is how you know who's doing what today. He said a son of Javan, right? That's who we were sold to. This is going to show you who the so-called white man is, that he comes from Japheth, right here. I'm not going to put this on the screen. This is just a quick little excerpt. Genesis 10. And I'm going to start at the top. Now, these were the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog. Remember we talked about Gog and Magog? That's Japheth. But guess what? We see Japheth must be cool with the Arabian Empire, because they were doing deals with each other, obviously, and I'm ready to prove it. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan. So when it says that we were sold from the Arabian Empire to the sons of Japheth, also known as Javan, we know that that must be how we got to where we are today, because it said they would remove us far from our border, which we know now the so-called white man must fall up under Javan or Japheth in some kind of way. On your own research, just research Ashkenazi. But we ain't got time to do all that right now. So we're going to go back and we're going to finish up the Joel. I'm going to pick it up at 7 now. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether you have sold them. So after they were sold, he said, I'm going to raise them out of their place. It says, and will return your recompense upon your head. That's how we know that hasn't happened yet, because they still running stuff. They some of the richest people in the world. Then verse 8 says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. That hasn't happened yet. Judah is still in captivity, and Judah is where the Jews come from. So this is why they call themselves Jewish, because they know they are not the people, because if they were, then they would already have control of the sons of the ones that it just said will be sold to them. I know it sounds like a lot. Let's take it down a notch and reread it. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether you have sold them. He's going to lift the Israelites up, right? And will return your recompense upon your own head. To the people he's talking about, the Arabian Empire. And he says, and I will sell your sons, the Arabian Empire, and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah. So if this was complete, then they would have them as slaves. We don't. We are still in a slave condition. Then it says, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord has spoken. Now, let me see, that's 8, right? Yeah, that's all right. So when he said, I'm going to sell you to the Sabians, who are the Sabians? Does anybody know who the Sabians are? Let's look it up. Let's look and see. It says Shebaite or Shebaite. So Sheba or the Sabians. So this is the thing. When you go into Sheba and you start going and seeing, hey, they are part of the umbrella too. Eventually we're going to read where they, even under their own umbrella, they're not going to get along, and some of them are going to split. Maybe they're going to fear the Lord, and that's why some of them will be saved. I don't know. But we're going to continue to read. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. There cause thither, there's something. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So that's what the Lord is going to be judging us when it comes down to it. He wants everybody to come and they're going to surround us. Let's look and see who these people are. Psalms 83. Psalms 83. This is the kicker right here. Once we understand what's going on here, it'll make you look and say, I wonder what's going on with the UN, the United Nations. Why are they called the United Nations? What are they uniting? What's going on? Psalms 83:1. We'll start at the top. We'll come back here. Don't worry. We will come back here when we do Revelation 17 and we discuss the 10 horns. But for now, we're just going to read it. Psalms 83:1. You good?
So you're not actually going to read it, Daniel? Or you just read it?
I did it.
Okay.
You talking about Daniel 5, right? And 1.
Okay, yeah.
That was Belshazzar.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. So I was on the wrong one here.
Okay. Daniel 83:1. A song or song of Asaph. Keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So these people, they don't just hate us, they hate God, because they know all this was orchestrated by God, so they went and got a whole other God. But they'll tell you, we're all of Abraham and we have the same God. And you will fall for that because you don't know your Bible. But right here, it just told you they hate God. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee. Who is the thee? Who are they talking about? Lift up thy head, right? That's what he said. That's what they're going to do. So let's go back to the beginning. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. And be still, O God. So he's talking to God. And be not still, O God. He's talking to God. Then he's telling them, look, your enemies, they're making a tumult. They're making a pact. They're coming together. It's called Build Back Better now. It's called BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And all these places encompass, yes, Gog, Magog, and the Arabian Empire. He's telling you right here, all these people, they're coming together. He didn't list all these people here, but we've been going through all these lineages and all these different people. So on your own time, you can research each one of these people and see that this is correct. Now, what does the UN or the United Nations, what do? They go all in a room, they sit down, and they discuss things, right? What is that called? Taking counsel, right? It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. See, they were called hidden ones for more than one reason, because at one point in time when they fled Jerusalem, they had to literally physically hide. But also, we are a hidden people with a hidden lineage and a hidden culture because nobody knows who we are. It's been hidden from us. But it tells you in prophecy, this is a prophecy. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against your people, and they are consulting against your hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name Israel may be no more in remembrance. And then all of a sudden, nobody was talking about being an Israelite. Nobody was talking about Israel. Even churches won't even read the Old Testament because they don't want to say Israel. All the way up until that Hosea prophecy kicked in where he said, I'm going to wake you up in the third day and bring things back to you, right? But it says, I'm going to cut you off from being a nation. That's what, he said that's what the people was going to do. But in Jeremiah, I think it's 17:4 or the 4:17, he says this as one of the prophecies. Because of our sin, he will cut off our heritage. So this is still a grand design by the Most High. But now these people, right now we see in Psalm, David is like, look, they're doing this. And if you don't believe this, we went from being called Israelites to these people that call themselves Jewish. They don't even want to say Israel or Jews. They're saying Jewish. They don't really go by the 12 tribes, do they? Let's continue, though. Let's continue. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. What are they calling it now? One world order, right? They're calling it, they said New World Order when we was growing up. Now they're calling it One World Order. And they use the name bricks because what do you use to build with? Bricks, right? And when one nation is in one consent and they building with bricks, if you build with bricks, you're a mason, right? I'm not going to get into the mason stuff. Not on the live, no way. But when you're talking about bricks and you build them back, you got one nation all trying to be one up under one umbrella. What does that remind you of?
Tower of Babel.
The Tower of Babel. It happened already before. You know, that was in the beginning, right? What does God say? I called the end from the beginning. He said, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He says, there's nothing new under the sun. He says, I do not do a new thing. All these things he's telling you so that you can go back and study. They are recreating. Why do you think they always talking about going out of space? They got a space force now. They got all this stuff because we are back in the days of what? Noah. And when you go back to the Tower of Babel, what was that? Right before the days of Noah, right? He said the last days would be like the days of Noah. And you got the same thing. It's getting crazy. I'm gonna keep going because I don't want to get off page. Verse 6. Now this is the important. Well, all is important, but this is the key, so that you can figure out what's going on. Because it say they all consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. We see it happening now. But it says the tabernacles of Edom. So they in on it. Ishmaelites, they in on it. Arabian Empire. Moab, Arabian Empire. Hagarites, remember we worried about the Hagarites earlier, right? Jabal, Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Remember we read about Tyre in the coast of, all right. Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. That's 10. But everybody is focusing on the 10 coming from the European Empire. We read the 10 right here out of the Bible. And these 10 we reading out of the Bible fall up under the Arabian Empire. And I'm going to jump the gun because I don't care. Whenever you go and you read Revelation 17 and you talk about they was all going to be on the mountain, everybody say this is the 7 hills of Rome. But when you go to Mecca, which is basically the headquarters for Islam in the Arabian Empire, even Mecca itself has what? 7 mountains. East Saudi Arabia, you can go there. Same thing. So we're going to keep moving because we almost finished and I'm way over my time. I don't care today. We turned up and we're supposed to say something like that. Judges 8 and 5. Let's do it. Judges 8 and 5. I'm just trying to show y'all these people and what's going on because at some point in time, it's going to be too late. Everything that they tell you, they put it out there a few times and bring it back so that you don't believe it because they test the waters and then eventually they do it, right? And one of the things they said is no internet someday. We won't be able to see all this stuff. Judges 8 and 5. It says, and he said unto the men of Sakar, give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zabah and Zamunah, kings of Midian. We already know who the kings of Midian are Midianites. That was at one point in time, the same people who became the second beast. So we're going to drop down to verse 10. We see what's going on, right? It says, now Zabah and Zamunah were in Karkor. And their hosts with them, about 15,000 men, all that were left of all the hosts of the children of the east. The children of what? The east. It's the same thing all the time. They hate us. They're always going to hate us. For there fell 120,000 men that drew the sword. And Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah and Jogbehah, and smote the host, for the host was secure. Y'all see that? And hold on, let me see something. I'm going through 14. Yeah. I just want to make sure. All right, so verse 12. And when Zabah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued after them and took the two kings of Midian, Zabah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the hosts. Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from battle before the sun was up and caught a young man of the men of Sakar. Pay attention. Now, when I brought up the Midianites being the second beast, this is before this happened. I'm just saying those same people eventually became the second beast, so we had to deal with them again. This is when we was winning, obviously under Gideon, right? So it said that Gideon caught the young man of. I read that one right?
Yeah, 14.
I'm on 14. Mm-hmm. All right, and caught a young man of the men of Sakar and inquired of him, and he described unto him the princes of Sakar and the elders thereof, even 70 men. So we see what's going on. He done ran down on them. Look, I want to know everything about these people because I'm killing. He's just on a killing spree to take over. We'll drop down to 21 because this is where it gets real funky for us. We gotta 21. Then Zabah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose and slew Zabah and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments, that were on their camels' necks. All right. I know they all like, what? You built that up for that? What does that mean? Just bear with me. Okay, so they took away the ornaments, right? Do y'all know what the ornaments of Islam is? Anybody familiar with that? Do y'all know what the symbol is they use?
It's like a moon.
It's like a moon, like a crescent moon, right? All right, so when you look up ornaments, it says a round pendant for the neck, ornament, round tire like the moon. Islam, right here, ornaments. The same stuff that they show you, they wear, well, they don't all wear it, but the same stuff that you'll see that they use in representation for their religion, for their God, or whatever you want to call it, the small little crescent moon, they use that in Islam. Well, right here, it says that whenever Gideon slew Zabah and Zalmunna, he took away the ornaments that was on their camels' necks. And we know who ride camels. And we know what Islam is, what they use to represent their stuff sometimes, which is the crescent moon. And now we read that these ornaments that he took off their necks were moons. You know why? Because these are the same people today. We've been fighting with them. So, 1 Kings 18 and 26, last spot. I like that, son. I got some special for you. I got something. You turned up today a little bit for me, man. I ain't gonna lie. It made me smile. If I could have ducked the camera so they couldn't see me smiling, I would have. I could. 1 Kings 18 and 26. Now, let's keep going in the same direction. 1 Kings 18 and 26. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor anything that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he's pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleep and must be awakened. So Elijah was basically mocking them because their God did not show up for them. And we are talking about the same people, but let's continue to read. It says, and they cried aloud and cut themselves after the manner with knives and lances, till the blood gushed out upon them. Y'all see that? These people crazy. They cut themselves. They got mad with knives and I didn't look up lances. So whatever lances are, blade, some type of blade, I'm assuming. They got mad because their God was mocked by Elijah and didn't show up, and they got mad and started cutting themselves. Now remember, we already showed you where the moons that was on their necks is the same thing that the crescent moon that they use for Islam, right? And I've even heard that Allah, when you break it down, goes back to being called the moon god. Now, it says these people like to cut themselves with knives and lances and stuff. And this is how they deal with their God sometimes. So I'm going to play you something that says Shiite Muslims in Kabul cut themselves with swords at Shiite festival after Taliban takes control. Let's read. Well, let's pay attention. Yeah, I see it there. Y'all see it? They cut themselves like crazy. No, wait, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I just want to show you what the Bible says. Hold on. I ain't finna be talking about it. I just want to show you what the Bible says. It's still going on today with the same people. You just seen them cutting themselves at a Shiite festival. So, what is the significance in that? These are the same people. And this is their custom. And they're trying to take over the world. And if they do, this will become your custom. Y'all want to do that? I don't want to do that. I ain't going to do it. But I'm just saying, this is why eventually you got to get right with the Most High. If you're not, and be so blessed to make it to the wilderness where you are protected of that kind of craziness and everything else that's associated with these people, because they don't play around. They're way more serious with their God than most people are with theirs. So hopefully, y'all can see some things. I'll just make a mention. When you read Revelation 6 and you get to like the fifth horse beast, something like that, towards the end, it says that a lot of people will have to be beheaded with Christ. Beheaded for Christ. And still to this day, that Arabian Empire, that's what they do. When you don't want to deal with their God or deal with their laws, which is centered around their God, they still use the sword that Esau was said to live by. And they cut your head off. Nothing has changed that we've been. I left a lot of stuff out because you see what the time is looking like. I appreciate anybody that made it this far. Like, share, subscribe, comment. That's the lesson. The Arabian Empire, possibly the fourth beast, depending on how you look at it. We'll get a little more into that part when we do Revelation 17 breakdown. Hopefully y'all can see who's under this umbrella. On your own time, look at any of these names that you're not familiar with, the location of where they at, and see where they at today, and you'll be surprised on who all is against us. But with that being said, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, that's it. I'm gone. Appreciate your time.